Radio Waatea, self-mastery and conflict resolution for tamariki is now available online through the new Warrior Kids video series. The short vids follow the Warrior Kids program, teaching children peaceful self-protection, assertiveness, emotional awareness and self-management, communication skills and confidence. And it's all taught through fun and games by founder Master Tim Tipene. Warrior Kids says Tim empowers kids and teaches them how to solve their problems constructively. And Tim Tipene is with us for a cordial about the new video series. Thanks for your time, Tim. Welcome. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Good morning, Dale.
20 years on, mate.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a while.
Background it for us, please.
Sorry, background the...
Well, the whole kaupapa of Warrior Kids 20 years in.
Right, okay. Well, I started Warrior Kids up in Helensville. The reason I did it was I grew up in a house where there was a lot of violence and a lot of abuse, and I wanted something different. You know, I wanted something more. So I looked around in my community and there wasn't much available. And so it was one of these grassroots projects, really, that took off. So when I started in Helensville, it was just me and a few children, and it started very quietly. It was a martial arts class originally. However, I enlisted myself in an anger management course in Henderson. I was actually the only person who volunteered to be there. I didn't know that until I showed up on the night. So here's all these men sitting in a half circle, and I sit on the end, and everybody else had been sent to this anger management course, and I was the only one who had actually volunteered to be there. A lot of the men said I should have just gone home and watched the rugby, but for me, I'd rather have gone there of my own accord than be sent by somebody else. And so that was a real starting point for me. And so then when I went back to my martial arts class that I was teaching for children, I saw that, you know, I felt a responsibility and I wanted to give these kids more. So I changed it. I started to bring in communication skills, anger management, and just an overall a different way of responding to aggression than to lash out or to hit. I wanted, you know, to give these kids something more. From there, parents started to take a lot of interest. And they even started to go into schools and say to the schools, look, you need to get this guy in the school and work with your kids because what he's teaching is very valuable. So I ended up being in, the first school was in Rānui, in Whakatipo Kakano in Rānui Primary, in the Māori unit. And I ended up running the first Warrior Kids in schools there. There also, at that time, came a lot of media interest in the program, and there was great stories coming out of success, you know, not just children's lives changing, but whole families taking home and doing the techniques, you know, for example, the high and low point, where people share their high point from a day and their low point from a day. So families were doing that around the dinner table. And so there was opening up a lot more communication in the homes, and, you know, I'd have the dads coming up to me and saying, hey, look, I'm trying those strategies for dealing with anger, and it's proving beneficial. So it's certainly been a long journey. And then after that school in Rānui, it started to spread out a lot more. I had calls from some agencies, community agencies, wanting to take on the program. So a license agreement was set up. You know, the lawyers and accountants saw money signs and thought this would be a good way to make some money. And so it was licensed out to these groups. So it ended up being running in Dunedin, Christchurch, Tauranga, different places in Auckland and so on throughout the country. However, I didn't realise how much was involved in running the program. You know, here I was, I had done it already by then. I'd already done it over 12 years or so, and there was a lot that I knew that was pretty hard to pass on. So in the end, I had to pull it all back. I pulled it all back, and there were some breaches of the contracts and stuff that wasn't so good. So that was a bit of a down period in the development of Warrior Kids. However, I came back and licked my wounds and continued on. And so I just kept going out in the community and in the schools. And here we are, 20 years.
20 years, and some good work done. Congratulations to you. It's shown it's got legs, that's for sure. The video that we're talking about, Warrior Kids video series, give us some cordial about that.
Okay, now, with the series, it puts Warrior Kids online. It means children from anywhere can access it at any time. So this is a resource for the children. It's also a resource for parents and families. Right now, they can just get online and access these videos. And each week, there's a new one going up. And they're 5 minutes long. They're also a resource for teachers, so teachers will be able to use them in the classroom, and also community organisations. And they're very simple, they're very easy, and they're really child-focused. And the idea is they're passing on all the little tips and techniques of Warrior Kids. So, yeah, this way, it just makes it so much more accessible for the children.
Has it got any Māori focus, this presentation, or its style?
I can't help but do that, Dale. I mean, it's who I am. So it's certainly in there. It's the whole whānau order, and it's the whole wairua and tinana. It's all there. That message is right through. You'll be able to see that. And it's not just me on the video. It is the children and even the families at different stages. So, yeah, certainly that's in there.
You say that violence drives much of the media, and it's a driving force in the entertainment sector. And family violence continues to destroy the hopes and aspirations of so many of our kids. Can you elaborate on your thinking there?
Certainly. For me, violence is everywhere. It is, in many ways, it is condoned. So while we have people jumping up and down about family violence and about all these problems with our youth, you just have to sit down at night and watch TV and see what everybody's being exposed to. The news certainly are big on violence. For example, even in my local newspaper here, in the middle of the year, I introduced Black Belt of Peace, and that ended up in a little section in the newspaper where on the front cover was this latest, a martial artist who was who had been doing well in the fighting circuits, and so that's on the front, and that is how it's looked at. Violence is predominant. So if there's a voice about peace or a project like Warrior Kids, and that, it doesn't always get a lot of attention. However, there's certainly a lot of attention given to violence. You can't miss it, really. And I just think there's an alternative. I don't think it has to be that way. And I think the other voice of peace and so on, and sorting problems out constructively without the use of violence, I think that needs to be brought up more and heard more. That's what I'm trying to do. It's certainly a lot of work to try and get that message out there. When I go into schools and I work with young people, high schools, primary schools, they are relieved to hear something different. It's not about being staunch. It's not about being tough. It's just about being yourself and relaxing and letting go of any aggression. They are able to relax as soon as I start talking in that way, and they realize that, they don't have to worry so much about those things. And so for me, what I want to see is this out there even more. It's like when I was teaching wrestling in the school. Now, we have a Warrior Kids Wrestling. And in the Warrior Kids Wrestling, it's just play. There's no winning in the sense of beating another person. If you want to win at Warrior Kids Wrestling, you go in there, you just have a good time, and you make sure your partner that you're wrestling against also has a good time. And there's smiles, the children have to be on their knees. There's a number of rules, and it's all about safety. Once I had a little boy, well, he wouldn't have been little, he would have been 10 or 11. He came and sat down beside me, while the wrestling was happening, and he started saying to me, well, this is a real different way of wrestling. And we were having a little korero, and he said to me how his dad was taking him to this wrestling on Saturdays and how much he didn't like it because it was so aggressive, and his dad was expecting him to win all the time, and it was fighting. It was just straight out fighting, and how much he didn't like it, and how he preferred this Warrior Kids wrestling. Obviously, because it just enabled him to relax and not worry so much. So, yeah.
Well, I want to congratulate you on 2 decades of concerted effort. And, nothing's changed since you first devised the program. It's just teaching our kids that there are other ways for conflict resolution. They can look inside themselves, look at their emotions, their communication skills, build their confidence. And obviously it's been working for you. Has it been awkward in the sense that I suppose when people hear Warrior Kids, they think it's the tamariki support crew for the league team?
Yeah, that comes up quite a lot. that happens. Oh, you're a part of the league team. Yeah, that certainly comes up. Another one is often when I go into schools and that, they get a bit apprehensive. They see the word warrior and they think I'm trying to make the kids all tough and staunch and that it's about fighting. So there's a bit of educating of people too, that there's a lot more to that word warrior, to toa, the idea of toa, and that's usually what I fall back on, is the word toa, because of course with toa is so much more of a deeper meaning, champion and so on. It's got so much more behind that word. So people are sort of quite apprehensive over the years, I found, with the word warrior. So it's certainly educating them that it's about something different. It's not about fighting. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Tim, and thanks again for talking with us. The video is available on www.warriorkids.org, and a new 5-minute video going up every Sunday. We've been talking with Tim Tipene, founder of Warrior Kids. Thanks very much, Tim.
Kia ora, Dale.
Good to talk with you again, mate. Thank
Great.
you. Bye now.